Okay, so yesterday I was talking about the exercise I'm working on, dealing with picking an event in my life that created a lot of drastic change, and picking that event and deciding which of the four archetypes that we all have, saboteur, child, victim, or prostitute, was mostly at play when I made these decisions that affected my life in such a way that it affected my children. My son ended up dying, and my daughter was removed from my custody. Those are very traumatic things. And this all happened because of a decision I made to buy property with a friend of mine, and that friend, so-called friend, um, changed her mind in the middle of the endeavor, leaving my son, myself, and my daughter, my son who had special needs, in a very precarious and unsupported situation. So there's a lot of material to work with there as to why I would do something so risky. And knowing that red flags came up before and I ignored them, and going over this situation in my mind and writing it out and thinking about it as I go to sleep at night, I realize that this is a habit, a pattern. I've done this a lot of my life, even as a small child. People pleasing, trying to make everybody else happy, trying to somehow have security for myself and my children. So the intent was good. The intent was never a harmful intent. It was a good intent. But there's a quote: "Good intentions pave the way to hell." Boy, do they. So anyway, I'm going to go over the four archetypes. Yesterday I read about the child archetype. Today I'm going to read so yesterday I read the child, guardian of innocence. Today I will read the victim, guardian of self-esteem. Being a victim is a common fear. The victim archetype may manifest the first time you don't get what you want or need, are abused by a parent, playmate, sibling, or teacher. That happened a lot in my life. Teachers, not so much playmates, parents, siblings, yes, yes, yes. Or are accused of or punished for something you didn't do. Also, that has happened to me. I'm sure it's happened to all of us. You may suppress your outrage at the injustice if the victimizer is bigger and more powerful than you. But at a certain point, you discover a perverse advantage to being the victim. You may be afraid to stand up for yourself, or you may enjoy getting sympathy. The core issue of the victim is whether it's worth giving up your own sense of empowerment to avoid taking responsibility for your independence. Many people in my workshops have described their victim as their most vulnerable aspect. I felt that I was set up to be a victim, said Tim, because I was taught never to fight back, but to avoid conflict. Avoiding conflict is certainly the wiser path, but only when you know you can stand up for yourself if you need to. Otherwise, you are running away. And I've always felt that I was running away from something or someone. One time when I was shopping, the salesperson gave me the wrong change. I had given her a $50 bill, but she handed me change for a 20. Yet I stood there saying nothing. I told myself that I didn't want to embarrass her, so I walked out of the store. As soon as I made it to the street, I almost exploded in anger at myself. Once again, I had allowed myself to be victimized. I saw it happen, and I just stood by and allowed myself to get ripped off. Boy, can I relate to this one. And to make this situation worse, even when I told myself to go back in there and get the right change, I managed to talk myself out of it by saying they would never believe my story of the invisible $50 bill. Eventually, Tim realized that he had to confront the victim energy because the quality of his life depended on it. I knew that as long as I could not or did not protect myself, I would also feel like a victim of something or other. And even if I were not being victimized, there would come a time when could no longer be able to tell the difference. I made a commitment to myself to act in behalf of my own well-being, no matter how uncomfortable it made me or those around me. I soon learned that every action one takes after making a choice to protect oneself is a major action. One time when I was at work, a guy asked me if I would run his errands for him. I had always said yes to him in the past, but this time I said no. Both of us stood looking at each other. I had shocked him as much as I had surprised myself. I told him that I was not responsible for seeing that his work got done. A few weeks later, I noticed him as he was walking toward me down the hall. He got a smirk on his face and commented, "Don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to do my job." The moment he said that, all I could feel was respect for myself. And I knew from that point on that I could protect myself, not only because I could respond honestly, but also because I knew I could live with the consequences of my honesty. The victim archetype had come full circle within Tim's psyche, from being a symbol of weakness to being a reminder of his own strength. When he thinks of the victim now, he does not think in powerless terms, but measures what he will or will not do so that he never again feels taken advantage of. As Tim puts it, the victim archetype is the guardian of my personal boundaries. Before, what I recognized as personal boundaries were more like self-inflicted prison walls. It's amazing how your world changes when you feel that you can take care of yourself. The lessons associated with the victim archetype demand that you evaluate your relationship to power, particularly in your interaction with people with whom you have control issues and need to construct personal boundaries. The primary objective of the victim archetype is to develop self-esteem and personal power. When you are in a situation in which you feel threatened or you suspect that you lack appropriate social, professional, or personal power, take notice of the reaction physically, emotionally, and mentally. That is the intuitive voice of your inner victim. To help direct your responses to all your experiences and relationships, say, "I'm committed to my own empowerment. What choice can I make here that will serve my own empowerment?" Name the problem or threat you need to overcome and the power that you need to possess in order to do so. Keep your eye on the truth that everything and everyone in your life is there by contract to assist you in your spiritual maturation. You have contracts with people who are directly connected to the victim archetype. Their primary role is to help you develop your self-esteem through acts of honesty, integrity, courage, endurance, and self-respect. Those people whose contracts are linked to empowering your victim will play or have played the leading roles in awakening in you an awareness of the value of these spiritual qualities and how essential they are to your well-being. I have been working on this one a lot lately, and it's just the little things. I have the hardest time with the littlest things, like the story of the man going back in the store and saying, "You gave me incorrect change." I have the hardest time, and I am doing it now. I'm finally doing it. It's just little things, you know, saying, "No, I won't do that. You can do it yourself." You know, it just, or not taking it personally when someone tries to make you feel guilty for saying no or standing up for yourself. Some snide remark, you know, "Well, I'll never ask you to do that again." Okay, you don't have to. I mean, I don't even have to say that back, but in my mind, I'm like, okay, that's fine. Because I told you, you know, that if I was going to do this for you, there was going to be a certain boundary around it. And now you're not going to ask me to do it again. Okay, I'm okay with that. I'm learning how to do it. And it's proving to be very difficult. But the more I do it, the more comfortable I feel. And the more I'm able to create discernment about who I allow in my life. So yeah, it's interesting. I'm having a lot of insight into some of my patterns that I've had over the last, well, I'm not going to say 51 years. I'm 51, but I don't think we really start having control of our choices until we're maybe 5, 4, maybe even 4, you know. I'm not a child psychologist, but seeing children that I know and love, and my own child, my special needs child, is a different story. Although, even with his special needs, my little Bodie, at a very young age, he did his first sign when he was 9 months old. He did more. But he did it like this. Even at 9 months old. We were sitting around a table with some friends having Thanksgiving, and I was dipping bread in some gravy for him. He had aspiration issues, so he couldn't fully eat solid foods. But if we were careful, he could like taste the gravy on soft piece of bread and stuff. We eventually conquered that challenge, but he was only 9 months old. And I would stick the bread in the gravy and give it to him, and he would suck on it until it was like nothing. And we were sitting at the table, and he was going like this over and over again, right? And I said, "Oh my God, he's signing more. He's signing more." His dad didn't believe me. "No, he's not." I said, "Yes, he is. He's signing more." Because his Easter Seal counselor had just told me, "I want you to start doing sign language to him." Because he's a very smart child, despite his very traumatic beginning. He was a very brilliant human being. I miss him so much. And he signed more, and I gave him some more bread. And then he started signing. So anyway, the whole point of it is, even at 9 months old, as humans, we are able to, look at my doggy. He knows I'm having some emotions. You little fat boy. He's my aggressive lover. He's an aggressive lover. Aren't you? He's an aggressive lover. But even at 9 months old, Bodhi was able to make choices, you know? So I guess it starts pretty young, looking at the world around us and deciding what makes us feel good and what doesn't feel good. Oh yeah, so yeah, that's all. So let's read. So that was the victim. Matt, boy, get down, please. Let's read in the back of the book what the victim says. These are the archetypes in the back. Do they even have it in here? Oh, here it is. Victim. The negative traits of the victim are self-evident, but when properly recognized, it can be a tremendous aid in letting us know when we are in danger of letting ourselves be victimized. Often through passivity, but also through rash or inappropriate actions. It can also help us to see our own tendency to victimize others for personal gain. In its shadow aspect, the victim shows us that we may like to play the victim at times because of the positive feedback we get in the form of sympathy or pity. Our goal is always to learn to recognize these inappropriate attitudes in ourselves or others, and to act accordingly. Films, Hilary Swank in Boys Don't Cry. I forgot about that movie. Jodie Foster in The Accused, also a good movie. Meryl Streep in Sophie's Choice. Ugh, that movie. Glenn Close in Reversal of Fortune. Fiction, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert L. Stevenson. Misery by Stephen King. Drama, Torch Song Trilogy by Harvey Fierstein. Religion and Myth. Isaac, son of Abraham, who God orders Abraham to sacrifice. Hercules, seized by Busiris, a mythical king of Egypt, who sacrificed all strangers to the gods to avert famine. Hercules avoided being victimized by using his strength, his great strength, to break his chains and slay Busiris. Okay, so that is the victim archetype, one of the 4 archetypes we all have. Until we meet again, my loves.